And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have two good brothers and sisters. Ha 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 ha. We have the three-eyed master of dad jokes, good brother Joe.
Power to Tira. How y'all doing?
And we have the least of the least tanky tank. Oh, good Sister Cecilia, because how could I not bring that up?
Dang.
Because of the time our tank was
Yeah.
carried by a
Just
monk
a
and
little
a
fae.
sniper.
Hi, I'm Cecilia. I'm the tiny fae.
Tiny Fae and person I occasionally throw hammers at.
Yes.
Oh. And if anyone thinks I'm singling anyone out, I will remind folks. I greet most people I raid with violence.
That is true.
It is the universal language. But this is something that has been in the works for a little while. I initially was going to be doing this weeks ago with you all, but it was a matter of making sure schedules aligned and time zones aligned. Then a bunch of stuff happened, stuff like Zine Quest or the Mega Dungeon event that had to get covered, along with covering things like the UK Games Expo, which just wrapped up. I wasn't there, but I have contacts. Along with just a bunch of projects that had to get a bit of the focus for a while. So, but we are finally here with a look at the FF14 TTRPG. And I did do a video covering the starter set about a year and a half ago. But that was just the starter set. I may call back to that later on, but part of the reason I wanted to cover this is because, and I don't say this with any hint of arrogance, I feel like the monastery is the ideal place to have a neutral position on this game. Because just a cursory glance either in some of the servers that I've been in or just looking at the discourse in general, I have seen that this game has been subject to a fair bit of borderline slander in a way that reminds me of the slander that the edition I'm supposed to hate got all the way back in the late 2000s.
Did that check ever clear?
Nope, still waiting on the check to clear.
Dang.
Pretty sure it's bounced by now. For those not in the know, for whom this is your first time, I'm referring to D&D 4th edition as the edition I'm supposed to hate, but I don't because the check bounced. Because if you want to get me to hate that game, you got to pay up. And none of the people on the call can afford that price. You'd have an easier time bribing me to run World of Cinnabar again. But I've seen comments like, "Oh, this was supposed to be a D&D 5e adaptation and then got changed at the last minute," which there's no evidence for. And this is the one that always manages to piss me off. It feels too much like a board game, or feels too much like a miniature war game. I put out a mini article on Twitter last night going into why I am not a big fan of that kind of thinking. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read off that particular post to kind of help set the stage for why that kind of thinking pisses me off. because it's something I've seen in one form or another for years. uh, but I hate the whole, oh, this TTRPG feels too much like a board game slash video game. Uh, it always comes off reductionist because it feels like people are reducing what, um, or reducing any TTRPG that doesn't conform to a set of what you're supposed to do thinking. I called it Gospel According to Zagyig, which, you know, is Gygax spelled backwards. But also...
Better than a gospel written by Zifnab. My goodness.
But also, I feel like that kind of thinking of, oh, it feels too much like a board game is a bit of a country club mentality. You know, dismissing it, saying, oh, you're not a real, true RPG.
I hate to tell it to you, but D&D is kind of a board game already. Because both are on a tabletop.
Yeah, it is.
It's... There's this weird attitude among some parts of the tabletop space where this idea that you should have this Great Wall of China style separation between TTRPGs and other either tabletop games or even video games. Or in some cases there are certain things you're allowed to draw from and other things you're not. And I do not state this with any exaggeration. As someone who wanted to bring in elements of things like anime or video games into my tabletop stuff when I was starting up, I got a lot of shit from my peers at the time. A lot of them will try and gaslight and say, oh, I didn't have any problem with that. I was like, no, I was there. You're not pulling the wool over me on that.
I was there.
Now, I will note, unfortunately, there is no PDF copy of the FF14 TTRPG. This was a scan that someone did that we're going through. A very good one, I will note. It's better than the first one that I had that was a very, very rough scan that I apologized for in advance. This one's
it's
not
pretty
only
good,
decent,
yeah.
It has proper OCR, which is basically text recognition, and it also has bookmarks, which is always good. Always good to see in a full PDF. Those of you who followed the channel for a long time know that one of my Berserk buttons is improper navigation. You know, not having an index or not having bookmarks. That's a really, really good way to piss me off.
Yep. If you have neither of them, Mildred just starts screaming Griffith all over the place. I don't understand why it's his Berserk button, but it is.
Ha. But now it would have been even better if we had hyperlinks in the table of contents, but sadly no. The other book that I do have for this is the Scenario and GM's Guide, but that has not been scanned to my recollection. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And fortunately, with what's in it, it's a good chunk of it is stuff that we wouldn't necessarily cover. Especially since covering, like, adventures is something that I try not to do. But this is about 325 pages. Pretty decent size for a core book. They call it the standard rule book because there was a standard and then a limited version. The limited version is just the standard one with a few more bells and whistles. It's not really relevant. I will note that the core book is covering both A Realm Reborn and Heavensward. sometime later this year, we're getting an expansion that's going to be covering Stormblood, and I'd imagine in the coming years, the remaining expansions will follow suit. That said, I don't expect to see Endwalker until maybe 5 years from now.
Unless they release them really quickly, which, they shouldn't. No need to
Uh,
flood the market.
Like
Yeah.
I only found they only announced and put up pre-orders for the Stormblood book. It isn't even out yet. About 3 months ago. So it's going to be a while.
Hmm.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Stormblood book is only 200 pages.
As much as I liked a lot of the characters in Stormblood, I can't help but agree with people when they tell me that when they say that Stormblood as a story didn't need the Warrior of Light at all.
Yeah, that is something we will get to. Oh, I feel like in regards to that, a tabletop version of Stormblood's region will be able to sidestep that problem.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and that's what I love about tabletop RPGs is you can kind of rewrite that because the expansion did something in the game, you can kind of change that for like what you want.
Yeah.
That's why I love roleplay.
Exactly.
But I will note I do like the sidebar about formatting, and that formatting will continue throughout. It's always nice to have that kind of consistency. So that we go into the opening crawl that you saw when you started up A Realm Reborn, as well as what the game is, what the goal of it is, using the rulebook, key components, standard fare for this sort of thing. A lot of this is very clearly written as if this is your first experience with TTRPGs, which I feel like a lot of people covering this kind of gloss over that fact because they've been so inundated with the assumption that everyone around them knows how TTRPGs work, they forgot what it was like at the starting gate.
Understandable.
But after that, we have a bit of a here's where, for certain information, here's where you jump to it. Like for character creation, jump to 17. For the jobs, jump to 60. For playing the game, jump to 184. For setting info on Eorzea, jump to 199. And for the scenarios, 236.
I have to say, the image that they use for playing the game is just so adorable.
Yeah. I had thought of doing like mini comics for Legend Edition for explaining certain things, but we just couldn't make it work. But then with getting started is again we're covering a lot of stuff that is familiar. I think this is where some people assume that this was supposed to be a D&D project at first. The core mechanic is D20 plus modifier versus a challenge rating. And the challenge ratings we have are pretty standard for D20 based games. Operating on a rule of 5. But here's one thing to make very clear right out the gate. The only dice you're going to be using at all is either D20 or D6s. Nothing else.
No 4s, no 8s, no 10s, no 12s. Poor 12. Poor 12.
I do like that their version of the D20 has the meteor emblem as the 20.
Is it the 20 or is it the 1?
It's the 20.
I feel like I was gonna say I feel like getting the meteor is Don't need another Realm Reborn.
Oh. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I always appreciate when a game makes clear when not to make checks. Far too often, people assume you need to make a check for everything, or I think we've all had situations with that one person who wants to make a spot check every 5 feet to check for traps because they're that paranoid. Oh.
Fair enough.
If you're guaranteed a success or guaranteed a fail, probably don't make a check. If there's no risk of you succeeding or failing, also don't make a check. Now, when it comes to advantage dice, this is where somebody might point. See, it is trying to be 5e. Except here's the issue with that. 5e has advantage and disadvantage dice, yes, but there's one key difference. You're not capped at 1.
True.
They say right here, for example, if you have 2 advantage dice when making a check, you would roll a total of 3 d20s for that check, and then choose one of them.
The more advantage dice, the better, unless they say otherwise.
Yep. And I don't see anything on disadvantage.
I mean, it might be further down.
Yeah, I thought there was
No.
disadvantages listed somewhere. Was there not?
Nope.
There's penalties, but no disadvantages. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Which, if I were to compare it to anything that I've played previously so far, I think I made this comparison in the video I did a year or so ago. Stuff like Emberwind is the main thing I'd make a comparison to. But then they go into Adventurers, the question of can you play as the Warrior of Light? Which the summary is you can, but but the system isn't built with that assumption.
Like, really, what does being a warrior of light and or darkness get you?
Mm-hmm.
An echo? Sure. Why not? Don't need to be the warrior for that.
Mm-hmm. It's something that works in as a conceit in the video game for the MSQs, but for a tabletop, it's not necessary. But then it goes into jobs and the roles, as well as traits, which are special characteristics. Size is the main one they bring up here, but there are going to be other traits. Traits are always active unless they say otherwise. Then going into abilities, then your attributes. We are operating on a rule of 6 with attributes. Strength, dex, vitality, intelligence, and mind. Which actually, no, I take that back. That's 5 attributes, not 6.
Nope, that's true.
Each of them gives an
Unless
an
there's a
example
hidden luck stat.
No.
Gotta bring up accuracy from Realm Reborn.
No. Then your secondary attributes. Defense, this is the TN to actually hit you. Magic defense, see above, just with magic abilities. And abilities will note whether they're physical or magical. Speed is the number of squares you can move. Vigilance is a passive attribute. That's how aware you are. Think of passive perception. Obviously, max HP and MP is self-explanatory. I do appreciate that they point out, as HP is not a measure of wellness or physique, an adventurer's vitality does not influence their max HP. And with MP, unless otherwise stated, adventurers have a max MP of 5. That may seem low, but you'll see that there's a method to the madness. But then going into profile, then character creation. I do like that for the character creation part they decided to use the background that you get right at the start screen. That kind of thing is a nice touch. There are a few pre-made adventurers in the back of the book, and if you want to go a bit more random, you can go that approach too. We have a full random race table for that. Then for appearance and glamour, obviously glams are a big deal in the MMO. There's whole sites dedicated to different glams, but it would be hard to do that in a tabletop, so we just have aesthetic and distinguishing features.
Glam is the end game, everyone. Always remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It truly is. And actually, I noticed with the races too, they have the races for all the current expansions, which this only covers up to Heavensward, which
yes,
these wouldn't exist like during that time. So it's actually nice that they're keeping up with it so much that they have like stuff that currently just came out for the races.
Yeah, and when it comes to input in this, your choice of race isn't. It's going to have its impacts, but not nearly as much as one might think. But after picking that out, you do have the option of picking out a origin, motive, bond, and character bond. You can either pick one, roll d20, or make a new one. I feel like these are nice considerations to help get people get the ball rolling as far as coming up with characterization for new players. And you can also pick a profile trait, which gives you an advantage die out of encounter things under specific circumstances. It can either be one major restriction and one minor, or 3 minor restrictions. And they do give some examples on restrictions, as well as a bit of a chart if you want to go random, as well as some sample traits. For example, City-State Defender. Your devotion to your duty as a member of Ulda's, Gridania's, or Limsa Lomsa's Grand Company has earned you the favor of the city-state's populace. Receive 1 advantage die on checks to gain the cooperation of natives of your chosen city-state.
Gotta love Limsa Lominsa.
And with these sample ones, you could pick one out of random, or you could build one. And I do like that because of the random tables that they have here for building it, you don't run into the fate problem of, you're savvy enough, just come up with it on your own kind of thing. No, here they're giving actual advice and an actual framework. Which is very nice. Like I said, this is so far a very beginner-friendly affair. We do have a thing on titles, though, and titles they do give a few sample instances of titles, but unlike in the TTRPG, unlike in the MMO, titles actually have a mechanical impact, at least with these samples they give here. For example, alert, your vigilance goes up by 3. Tenacious, once per encounter, ignore the first time you would be affected with weakness. You know, it's minor things, but it's going to have a degree of an impact. We do have name tables next, which, once again, the only thing that you're rolling is D20 or D6. And on page 33, there's something very interesting that I think anyone who, even if you're just running a game in Eorzea, I think this is a very nice touch to have, and that is naming conventions. Now, some of this is drawn from the Lodestone, but it's still nice to have in this book.
Indeed, indeed.
For example, when it comes to your Midlanders, they state, Midlander forenames are remarkably similar to Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, and Briton names that appeared in medieval pre-15th century Europe. Surnames are usually based on an individual's profession or the location where they or their families lived. They may also represent a person's outward features, such as brown hair leading to the surname Brown, spelled with an E. Then they give a few male and female names. Same with Highlander Hears, and doing a similar thing for Elven names and for the other races. I feel like this is a good way to integrate the name so that you could make up your own and still have it somewhat fit. And no, the same with Lalas. And remember, do your civic duty. Bully the potato.
Don't bully the potato.
No.
But like with the Lalafels, I like that they go into how phonetics would work with naming.
Mm-hmm. I've always loved Lalafelian names.
Even going into what the vowels would be for both Plainsfolk and Dunesfolk. You have similar patterns when it comes to Makote, as well as an alphabet to help with tribe names. Then you have that with the Rogaden. With the Aura, here's where things get interesting. The Rain Aura have very Japanese naming conventions.
Until they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, until they don't.
And then we get the Zayla that's leaning more into more into 15th century Mongolian.
Which is pretty accurate for that expansion,
Mm-hmm.
for where you find each kind of like race at the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I prefer that over the, I don't know what language Sea Wolf Rogadane have for their names. I just keep on trying to figure out how to pronounce it, and I'm like, what is this?
So it's what they say is, at a glance, Seawolf names can often appear like an amalgam of seemingly random letters, pounded out by a starved monkey chained to a third typewriter. That's one way to put it, I guess. But for male names, it says Seawolf names are actually all formed from 2 words taken from the ancient Rogaden language that the race's ancestors spoke before they came to Eorzea. For example, Aldskiff is a combination of Ald, meaning old, and skiff, meaning ship.
Yeah.
And then that's with male names. Female forenames follow the same rules, except that the second word is almost always one of the following: either Swiss, Thota, Wida, Game, Weeb, Rail, Iona, Brilda. And it goes, surnames can appear even more imposing, but in fact they follow names similar to forenames. A surname simply takes the father's name and adds either Sin, meaning son, or Win, meaning daughter. Which, that's a very Norse thing to do, and there have been nods to fire and ice giants when it comes to the Rogaden, so that in a roundabout way actually tracks. Like, a lot of Scandinavian cultures didn't have family names per se, but rather but instead of a surname, it was your parents' name, just adding in son, or the equivalent of son or daughter. And it says it's an excuse to make people speak Welsh. Let's be fair. No, no, we're not that bad yet.
Yet he says.
But with the Helgard, say male names are formed from two words, using a descriptor and a noun, and tend to draw heavily from nature, whether it be the vegetable or animal, inanimate or inanimate, abstract or concrete. Female names follow.
Oh god, sorry.
Female Helsgard names follow the same rules as those for male names. Unlike Seawolf forenames, there are no restrictions on the second word used. The only real difference between male and female Helsgard names is that the latter tend to include plant imagery, though there are many which do not. Likewise, the use of trees, flowers, and so forth is not exclusive to female names, as there are also many male names which incorporate them.
So, the Seawolves are very kind of structured with theirs. The Hellsguard, not so much, but they still follow similar formulas.
Mm-hmm. And the Helgard don't really do surnames.
Nope.
Although, at the very least, they give us a bit of pronunciation guides for the Seawolf names.
That is true. That is true.
You can, for the most part, follow the rules of English. There are some exceptions. And they give a few instances of that with vowels and consonants. But we have similar guidance when it comes to naming conventions for Viera, as well as male specific Rava and Vina Viera surnames. Though as far as the Welsh joke, we get something close with Hrothgar, where a lot of the naming conventions come from Slavic. Well, inspired by it. It's not obviously a 1-to-1. But having those naming guides might seem like not that big of a deal, but even bigger names in the tabletop space don't do this. So it's one of those things that you don't notice it when it's there. You definitely notice it when it's not there. And when you're trying to build a character within a given setting, fitting the naming convention, I think, is an important thing. And yes, a lot of this is pulled from the Lodestone, but it's still a nice touch to have it here.
I always feel like things like this kind of give a little more. It binds your character better to the world, you know?
Which,
Like, yes, you could have like some names that are relatively jokes with Rogadine or anybody else if you like if you really work hard on it. But at the same time, just names give things shape. And I really love the effort that are placed in this.
mhm. So then they go into the races proper, and I do find the fact that they use this image on 47 amusing because it is hinting at certain jobs that we're not going to be seeing yet. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see this the first time I was looking through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're
this
right.
splash page is really nice, though.
Oh,
it is.
It
It's very nice. I
Oh.
mean, it's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll be nice to see these covered.
Oh, yeah. Oh. And yeah, the naming conventions are also in the name generator, which something that I said before that I think a lot of people who have been looking at this game haven't been viewing the bigger picture. It's clear a big priority was emulate the MMO as close as you can while still being a TTRPG. And a lot of the decisions that we see in this are built around emulating the source material. But see, we do have a bit of a one-page blurb on each of the available races. Remember, bully the potato.
Don't bully the potato.
Also known as volunteering Lalas for the Lalafell space program.
To be fair, majority of Lalafells are evil.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
I
thought you guys are a villain.
I usually tell folks who want to be evil Lalas, I say, you're talking some mad shit for somebody who's in punting range. But you know, it's kind of funny that the Hrothgar was supposed to be a nod to the Ronso when it's something of a stretch. When you look at the Hrothgar and you look at the Ronso, I can see it to a point, but
you see it better when you actually take the optional horn.
Yeah.
And also the fact that they are called Ronso on the first.
Mm-hmm. But when they cover the part about other races, a lot of them are the beast tribes, and then there's Moogles,
which are technically a beast tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, as well as dragons.
By the way, if you want to punt anything, the Namazu are right there.
Wait. Are Namazu listed in here?
They're listed as one of the beast tribes, but they're not like a playable race.
Mm-hmm.
Darn.
Oh yeah. But then we have character classifications. All characters have a classification which describes what sort of being they are. NPCs have this as well. This is either Bloodborne, living beings for which lifeblood courses. Things like Beastkin, Seedkin, Vilekin, Wavekin, Cloudkin, Scalekin, and Spoken.
Just anybody who can speak.
Since the Namazu usually deserve it.
They always deserve
I
it.
remember. I remember when that was suggested for the Ultimania guide because I do have playable Namazu. Just staring at the image we use as a representative made everyone feel very uncomfortable.
Listen, people complain that Lalafell have dead soulless eyes. Have you looked at Namazu?
They're too derpy
Um,
to hate, though. I love the Namazu.
um, on one hand, yeah. On one hand, yes. On the other hand, remember what October 20th means. National Throw Short People Day.
I gotta mark that down so I'm ready for that. I didn't know that was a holiday.
Yep. But of course, the bloodless are ones that don't have life-bearing humors but still function. Forgekin, Ashkin, Soulkin, and then Transcendence, which are Void Scent and Elementals. And
So entities made out of energy.
yep. Then anything on Chimeras, and some creatures may have multiple classifications. And then we get to the jobs. Now, the jobs that are going to be in this book are Paladin, Warrior, Dark Knight, White Mage, Scholar, Astrologian, Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Bard, Machinist, Black Mage, and Summoner.
Yep.
And instead of doing full character creation where you're allocating your ability scores and then your derived stats, as well as picking what abilities you keep and whatnot, you have a set package of all of that for different adventure levels. Starting at level 30, the highest that this goes is 60. I believe it goes 30, 40, 55, and 60 is the 4 packages that you have access to, each with a different stat block and different actions. Now, I have seen some criticize this, stating that you're not really building a character. You're picking a pregen, and the character's built for you. I might be willing to go with that, except for one teensy tiny problem that requires me to be consistent. Have either of you heard of a game called Talislanta?
I have not.
For the sake of the bit, I'm gonna say no.
Talislanta is a storied TTRPG that's been around for decades. It is probably most famous for the No Elves advertising. It's been around for I think around 30 or so years. One of the things it was known for, and the reason for the No Elves advertising, was it was going out of its way to not use Tolkien as a reference point for its particular fantasy. And the reason I bring it up is because that game does not have the full character creation that people might expect. You pick an archetype, you fill out some minor details with that archetype, and that's it. Now, some years ago, I had the opportunity to talk to the creator of the game because he was making what he called the final edition, which was going to be 6th edition. Originally, he was going to be doing a 5e conversion of it, but then, right as that was going down, the OGL fiasco happened. He still did the 5e conversion, but it was a secondary book. But I've talked at length about the OGL issue and what happened. But the point is, if I were to get on FF14 for not doing full scratch character creation in the way a lot of people were expecting, I would be a massive hypocrite because I didn't get on Talislanta for that exact thing. And it's a case where I've had to ask when people bring that up, is that an actual problem or is that just an issue of your own preference? Because that is something that I think a lot of people conflate, of things that are an issue of preference versus an actual problem with the game. And yeah, so Akone brings up that in the next few months we're supposed to be getting the Stormblood book, which will add Samurai, Red Mage, and levels 65 and 70. But that kind of thing is just a pet peeve of mine. Like, the idea of going through full scratch character creation, that can actually, if you're trying to build a game that is very noob friendly, that can be a roadblock. You know, I have full scratch character creation, but I acknowledge that there is going to be a bit of a skill floor with my game. And there's not much I can really do about that. But see, then they go into getting back onto the heart of the matter. After they do go into roles, a lot of the scenarios are built on the assumption that you have a light party, so party of 4, probably with the same setup of 2 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer. I mean, could you do it with nothing but DPSs? Probably, but I feel like this game is built to discourage that. And of course, they do briefly bring up enmity, which is going to be a factor because, you know, tank. And I feel like part of the reason that this approach was done was if they did full scratch, it might be tricky if someone wants to switch jobs to a new one. And they do go into the use of soul crystals, which is meant to be an optional thing. And Akron brings up, I'd love to see if it's possible to push monster design to the point where you could have a full party running progression raids weekly. As tempting as that would be, full party of 8 people at one table is kind of pushing your luck. Most people consider a party of 6 to be the absolute limit.
And don't even get me started on a 24-man raid.
Yeah, the idea of doing even a one shot of just 24 people is a little insane.
Yeah, as much as this. Yeah, I was gonna say as much as this is falling pretty true to like the Final Fantasy 14 game, I would not want to have a tabletop with 24 or 8 people. And it'd be a little too long.
I have been to conventions where they do those world largest dungeon runs where they have like 100 or 200 people and multiple GMs. You kind of have to have multiple GMs with that because doing world's largest dungeon with just one GM would probably put you in a padded room after about 6 hours.
Absolutely.
Because have you ever seen the map for world's largest dungeon?
Actually, no.
No. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
This is a infamous dungeon. It got a revamp during for the Mega Dungeon event that BackerKit was doing. But let me see if I can find a. Yeah, that's his. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the sidebar for you. Unfortunately, I can't show it on stream without doing a bunch of extra work. But look in the side chat.
Okay.
That is one region of the world's largest dungeon.
Oh, good lord.
Here's what the full thing is like.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good lord.
And there was somebody who decided to set a record for the largest dungeon map, which is 30 feet long, and took a photo of himself doing a snow angel on the thing for size reference.
Oh, good lord. Deities above and below. That is an entire campaign right there.
Obviously, this was built
seasons
for
long.
a convention where you're going to have a lot of people and also a lot of space.
The final frontier.
Mm-hmm. But the point is, a lot of tabletop designers don't really design for those massive parties.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because that's not going to be a common occurrence.
Yeah, good luck getting everyone's schedules to line up.
Mm-hmm.
Hard enough to do a raid party.
Yeah, it's easy to do this kind of things at a con or at an LGS because everybody's gonna have to go there anyways. Even easier for a con, I'd say, but
Could they add something like similar to like the trust system, where it would basically be NPCs filling that role so that people don't feel that they have to run a specific class just because they don't have a healer in the party?
Or the squad system.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
There is something for like chocobo companions in this book, but as far as doing full-on trusts, that's not going to be in this. And if you asked me I feel like something like that could be done in Sword World easily with the whole fellow system. It's very much built in with it. But for something like this, where at the end of the day, even if you're using some sort of like AI companion, somebody still has to move the thing and track it. It's an issue of logistics.
Yeah.
But they do make clear when it comes to the Soul Crystal aside that you don't need to have that, and it's not going to. You're not having a Soul Crystal isn't going to give you some massive advantage in this system. And they also bring up Flair, where if you want to further personalize it, you could retitle certain actions to fit. But it's not necessary. But then when it comes to referencing job info, you have attributes, which we already covered, traits, which are essentially passives, and abilities. And the first, I also like that they go into fundamentals on the different roles.
Mm-hmm.
some as well as a sidebar on job resource traits and a couple common traits. Combo is much like the way combos work in the video game. You resolve one effect that has combo, you can use the next one at any point during your turn. I do like this latter part. You can move before doing so and may choose a new target when using this additional ability. And a cone saying trust system might as well be GMPCs. This is why I brought up the fellows in Sword World, because the fellows aren't GMPCs. The GM doesn't even control them. But I like that you do have the option of moving and then or even attacking somebody else with the combo setup. A lot of games, when they do some sort of combo system, don't let you multi-target. Like, you have to target the exact same thing for the entire combo. This lets you be a little more flexible. But also, they bring up pets. During encounters, your pet takes its turn immediately before yours. On its turn, it can perform a standard movement action to move up to its speed and use one of its abilities. It cannot perform any other actions. Your pet is immediately dismissed and removed from the map when you're knocked out. Which, obviously, you know which ones we're going to be covering pets, but we'll get to that later. But then we have the Paladin to start out with. You can see kind of the spread of how it handles primary and secondary attributes in that chart. And I do like that they have a nice little... With each of the jobs, they give a overview on common tactics, which again is really helpful for getting newcomers to hit the ground running. Also, something I will note is that each job, instead of role-based limit breaks, each job has their own unique limit break. Which, why does that sound very, very familiar?
Just a little.
But, I'd love... Then we have a... because of the way that these ability spreads are set up for each one, you could, instead of having to write all this on your character sheet, you could just make a copy of this individual page and just attach that to your sheet. But there's one thing that I think is important to note. You are, despite how this may appear, you are not rolling to hit. If anything, this is closer to what Draw Steel was doing, where you're rolling for degree of effect. Like for example, if you do total eclipse, the check is strength, which at level 30 is going to be +4. Target is defense. If you don't beat their target's defense, you do the base effect. If you do beat their defense, you do the direct hit as well. But I think you see what I mean when I say it's more about effect rather than whether or not you succeed. And honestly, I like that. It means that no matter what, everyone's actions are moving things forward. Especially since there's not really a chance to hit kind of thing in the MMO, so why should there be one here?
Right. Like, I think when the game first came out, accuracy was a thing that had to be considered, especially as like the main tank. But like they scrapped that so fast.
I think that kind of thing was an artifact of 1.0, which itself part of the 1.0 had a lot of problems, but I think one of the major ones was the fact that it was trying to be Final Fantasy XI 2 at a point where the sandbox style of MMO had largely fallen out of favor. I know there's a certain romanticism that some have about the sandbox style, but if you look at the way MMOs have developed over the last 15 plus years, it's been largely in favor of the theme park style, which I completely understand why, because that's going to be easier to program for. And yeah, there's other things, and some of them we've talked about, like the fact that world maps were too damn big for their own good. Or
yeah, I mean, the demographic too
of resources.
Yeah, I feel like it's a demographic too. Like, players now who are used to MMOs are a bit older, maybe don't have as much time, so they're kind of, more showy and less like sandbox and open.
Well, do you know what I specifically mean when I talk about sandbox style MMOs?
Like, there's more to it, more diversity, more like class mixing?
Not necessarily. Sandbox style MMOs are more about building a full-on world and then putting you right in the middle of it. Theme park style MMOs are about a directed experience in different zones. An example of a sandbox style MMO would be stuff like EVE or EverQuest, or even OG RuneScape.
Okay, I was thinking of EverQuest.
Theme park style would be things like WoW, like a lot of MMOs that came about in the mid 2000s and going forward. And now obviously with the setup that they have here for abilities, we haven't gotten into it yet, but I'll get into how action economy works. You always can do one movement action, one primary, one secondary. If you don't feel like moving, you can instead do another secondary action. And instance you can do as long as they are triggered. Assuming you haven't gone past the limitation of them. So you'll definitely see some familiar elements. And yes, enmity is a type of enfeeblement, and of course if you're playing tank, that's gonna be your bread and butter.
Yep.
And a lot of these secondary abilities do seem to be those shared role abilities that you saw in the MMO, which weren't shared role abilities at first, but kind of became that. I remember some of the weird prerequisites for jobs, like going from pugilist to monk. I had to do a few levels in white mage. Which I don't usually play healers, because healers in MMOs is, I got nothing against it, but it's completely the opposite of how I usually operate. It'd be like asking me to sew with boxing gloves on, or catch a ball with my opposite hand. And I can hear Zan laughing in the background because, once again, he's ambidextrous and I'm not. but they do have the they do have the job resources. In the case of Paladin, Oath Mastery at 40. And when it comes to limit breaks, this will be covered a bit later, but there is no limit break gauge. Instead, it's a case of if the GM says you can use a limit break charge, you can use it. You have 3 charges per adventure. Which I don't mind that, because putting it as a gauge would mean also determining how much of that gauge is filled from dealing or taking damage. And look, there's a reason I didn't do that. But maybe it's just me, but I feel like these pages are meant to be photocopied and used as part of your sheet because of the check marks that are present. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, sis.
Oh, no, you're fine. I think my mic's picking something up.
But and obviously, as tempting as it would be to have a bunch of veterans start out at 60, I don't think I'd do that personally, just because of and this is another reason why I don't think the 5e accusation really works, because of the sheer volume of stuff you can do here. Even at just level 30. You have your combo, you have 3 other things you could do as primary, you have 3 options as secondary. One of them is less limited than the other 2, and you have your set of instants. I contrast that with even somebody in the teens in most editions of D&D, and the amount of stuff you have at your fingertips there is no comparison. Okay, maybe spellcasters in something like D&D are gonna have more options, but they end up having the opposite problem where they have too many options. But and when it comes to warrior, it does appear that warrior's setup is not just I have stupid amounts of hit points. Because that seemed like the you certainly you do have ways to get HP back, but I think something that that strikes me is even if you don't have a massive HP and MP pool, it's very restrained on how it uses it.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that is thanks to the fact that you, unless the class says otherwise, you only have 5 MP, and with a lot of the classes here, MP is not really going to be something you're concerned about.
I can't spend it all in order to sprint. Darn.
Yeah. Oh,
No, wait, that's TP. Never mind.
mhm.
The cooperative TP, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I understand why TP was there at first, but I think it was, and I know some people rose a stink about its removal, but given the way combat works in FF14, it just didn't have, there wasn't enough that really interacted with it. But admittedly, Dark Knight is one of the exceptions when it comes to MP because of the way Darkside works here. And I actually like this setup.
Mm-hmm.
It says, well, under the effect of Darkside, you may spend 2 MP when you score a direct hit on an enemy with a single target ability to treat any roll of 1, 2, or 3 as if it were a 0, and any roll of 4, 5, or 6 as if it were a 10 when determining damage. Darkside is removed at the end of your next turn if this effect is not renewed. And remember, there's a
It's
difference.
literally an all or nothing.
Yeah, and remember, there's a difference between the base effect and direct hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, because of that, you have to because of the fact that you have only 5 MP, you have to play a balancing act between spending MP for that and when not to. So, Dark Knight is very much Captain Crash Out. Captain Crash Out and draining. But it is interesting that when it comes to White Mage, that they get the Lily effect at level 55. That's actually their only trait.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not stated yet, but one of the rules is you do passively get MP back. You get 2 back. If you didn't use any, you get 2 MP back each round. Which may as well be a lampshade of, don't be conservative with your MP. You've got stuff to use it. Use it. But White Mage is exactly what I'd expect it to be. With I believe it was either Scholar, or I believe it was Scholar, that there was some pissing about with an update a while back because people couldn't just play Scholar and let the fairy do all the work.
I was wondering about that when you mentioned pets and stuff. I was like, I wonder what's going to be up with Scholar, because its whole thing is the use of a pet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, they have pet as a trait at level 30, and when it comes and remember, as I said before, pets take your turn before you do.
Mm-hmm.
And because movement isn't automatic with the pet, you do have to position your fairy, which does mean that the whole AFK meme for Scholar doesn't apply as much. If anything, it reminds me of the shaman from 4E, where you had a spirit that you had to maneuver that could give passive effects to folks, but positioning was still important. And a lot of I think because of the fact that a lot of it is based on the pet, I think that's the reason why Scholar doesn't have as many abilities as White Mage, for instance, because it's even at level 6, it only starts really expanding at like level 55 and 60. Like you look at the ability setup in level 30, and it's small. Oh. But even though
rescue.
I do like that through things like heal, which is a secondary ability. It's not hard to move the pet around, but you do still have to be mindful of where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Let me see. And geez, that's a lot of instants at 60.
Yep.
Hmm. But then
Yay, tech.
Yep. Then with Astrologian, they didn't do the card buff setup the way I thought they might. The closest that we have with that is the is playing Arcana and Major Arcana. Which
that might have been really complicated to put into a TTRPG because of like how random it is. They would have to do like a dice roll or something to see which cards you would get.
Yeah.
Here's a deck of cards. Just draw one.
Yeah, basically.
I kind of have that in Legend Edition, where they have a hand of D12s.
The spire, the spire, the spire, the spire.
But no, instead you have Play Arcana and Major Arcana as traits. With Play Arcana, at the start of your turn, grant a single ally of your choosing within 10 squares Major Arcana and a barrier of 1 HP. At level 40, this is 2 HP of a barrier. So Major Arcana is a enhancement. When you're under the effect of Major Arcana, you can reroll a single die of your choosing when determining the amount of damage dealt by an ability. Any die rerolled in this way cannot be rerolled again, and its result must be used. Major Arcana is removed when its effect is resolved, or at the end of the character's turn. I like that they put at the end of the character's turn, so use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it, indeed.
Now, granted, it means that whoever's playing Astrologian does have to figure out, okay, who's going to get Major Arcana this turn, so that they actually use Major Arcana this turn.
Let's see, who's the one that's rolling the most damage dice? Edie, Meaty.
That's basically Final Fantasy 14 nutshell. It's like who's doing the most damage. Okay, you.
Yep.
I choose you, Monk. Anyway. Because it's either who's rolling the most or who could use the benefit. One of the two.
But speaking of Monk, this is trying to do Monk as it is in 14. It is always going to be a tricky one because of the whole form switching. I'll give them credit for how they did it here, though.
I would say it's going to be complicated if they could try to copy it from Final Fantasy 14, but hopefully they kind of simplify it a little.
Look at the box when it comes to just traits and how much bigger that is compared to everything else we've seen so far.
Yeah, that's expected. Monks have always been really complicated until they started making it a little bit easier and like for people to kind of learn. Like in the last couple
Yeah.
expansions, it's been crazy.
Mhm.
Like early on, it's like not only did you have to deal with the forms, you also had to deal with the freaking positionals, and it's like it's a dance. Okay,
Yeah.
which way?
Right,
Where
and
do I go?
you had even brought up TP, which was basically your stamina points. If your monk was too fast, or you were just hitting the target for too long, you'd run out TP and you would ruin your combo and just lose damage.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a rogue/ninja in the party who can grant me. No, wait, no, they don't have that anymore. Never mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you get martial forms at level 30, going with Oppo, Raptor, and Curl. While under the effect of a form, you get 1 advantage die on your ability checks for physical abilities. If you get a new form, your current one is removed and replaced with the new form. Forms are removed at the end of your next turn, so you keep that combo up. Let's see, deep meditation. This is how they do the chakra part of things. When I did Monk for 14, instead of having forms and chakra separated, I just combined them into one loop.
Fair.
But at level 40, you automatically get a chakra when your abilities score critical. But then we also have Bestial Fury. You can have up to 1 stack of Raptor's Fury and up to 2 stacks of Curl's Fury at any one time. So I think whenever you resolve an effect that enables this trait, you may spend 1 stack to deal an additional 1d6 damage and move up to 2 squares.
Interesting.
At level 50, you might get Oppo's Fury, which you can have 1 stack of. At level 60, you do 2d6 damage with this. Then they get Sect Mastery at level 55, as well as Formless Fist. While under the effects of Formless Fist, you are considered to be under the effects of all 3 forms. It is removed at the end of your next turn or when you're granted a new form, and you start encounters and phases with Formless Fist. And of course, Beast Chakra at 60. As well as Nadi at 60 as well. But it does appear that the whole deal more damage if you're attacking from the side or from the back is not present here. Thank God.
Thank fuck.
That would be a nightmare in a tabletop game.
You know, I like the fact that they have kept pretty true to the monk workflow.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. It's clear that the approach you're supposed to be doing is monk combo. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that the icon they use for monk combo, I believe that's Greased Lightning, which isn't here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually Greased Lightning. I don't think would work in a strictly turn-based approach.
I mean, how are you going to decrease the cooldown of your actions? Just saying.
And I know one might say, couldn't you use that for initiative? Let me bury the lead on that. FF14 doesn't use rolling initiative. It uses a phase approach. Which I do understand why that is done. But because of the approach, it also means the chakra abilities have a better opportunity to get used. Like I remember how I barely ever used the Forbidden Chakra because it required me to go to do meditation so much. Since I believe you needed 7 chakras to do it. But at 60, they also add in technique abilities that proc off of Masterful Blitz, which is a instant. So you can do, as long as you've got Beast Chakra and Nadi, you can do it. But then we have Dragoons, tank the floor. Though I don't think the floor tank problem is gonna be as much of an issue here because of how they have enmity work, where you only get it if something grants it.
True.
Oh.
I mean, one of the major reasons why a lot of early Dragoons kept on floor tanking, and even later, is the fact that after you use a jump, a lot of people are thinking, oh, because my character is not there, I'm not going to get hit. Your hitbox is still there, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there.
And I think there was also the problem of jump being an AoE, which meant it was going to be pulling.
Yeah.
Here we don't have that problem. Jump is a single target effect. Dealing 2d6 plus 3 damage, and additional 2d6 damage if you direct hit. So I can understand why you can only do that once. Given how restrained the damage setup is, that amount of damage is a bit nuts, especially higher up. They do at higher tiers. They do start putting in the Blood of the Dragon effects.
I mean, they were very effective damage dealers. Physical damage dealers.
Yep. But then we have Ninja, which also has a Ninja also has a big ass trait box.
Why is Ninja listed twice on the chapters?
Oh,
because someone put Ninja as the bard. Understood.
Oh, wait, what? Did they really?
If you go to the chapters under jobs, and you go down under Dragoon, you'll see Ninja listed twice.
Whoops.
The second Ninja is Bard.
I mean, bards shoot arrows. They're like secret assassins, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, but these, like, you have Signweaver for Ninja. You have Hide. You have Ninjutsu cooldown. Those for Hidden, you get 1 advantage die in your ability checks. It's removed when you take or deal damage or perform a primary or secondary action. You can still be targeted by abilities while under the effect of Hidden. And Swift of Hand and Shadow Walker at 50, and Windweaver at 55. And obviously the approach is building up Mudra to use Ninjutsu, which at first is just Fuma Shuriken, but then you get more later. And the main way that you're going to be generating Mudra is through Ritual Weave. And it's a special. Your primary abilities, it doesn't seem to expand as much. It's your ninjutsu abilities that really expand.
Yep.
Which is almost a way of saying don't use this like you're playing one of the other melee DPSs. Let's see, with Bard, I'm not gonna make the Spoony jokes. Everybody's done that. But Bard is builds around the song abilities, which seem to be built around granting rerolls. Let's see. Machinist is an interesting one here because it is built to be the king of instant abilities. Oh,
Nah.
like
Oh, I wonder, does it use the mechs at all? Oh, I guess it's the
Yes.
old system though.
Rook
does
auto
it?
turret.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if they consider that as like a pet or how they're gonna use that.
Yep, Rook auto turret, which you don't get until 60. Though when they say when playing with the standard rule book, that's the only ability you can deploy from a machine, which makes me think there are others that you could use it with. But
Rook overdrive, Rook auto turret.
Yeah, I'm only seeing the Rook because there's other ones, isn't there? I'm not a huge machinist.
So up to 60? No, it's literally just the Rook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wasn't sure when they added the other skills. I'm not great at machinist.
There might be additional ones we see when we get to when the Stormblood book comes out.
Okay.
But because of mechanized sharpshooter, normally you can only use one instant per turn. With their setup, you have no limit on that. But it's clear mechanized sharpshooter is meant to be a alpha strike option.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just use all of your instants against one thing, especially since your instants have a catch of once per phase.
Yeah.
But it's clear if you haven't played BattleTech, Alpha Strike is firing all the weapons you have on your mech, even if it might result in overheating or explosions. As in you exploding because your mech overheated. It can certainly work, but it has its drawbacks, namely the fact that you just fired everything. And yeah, lasers don't have ammo, but they do generate heat. But I do like that the limit break is satellite beam for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, machinist, it is very much built on that. And and Machinist has had some overhauls, but I don't think some of the resource changes that it's had in the MMO are going to need to be put in here. Black Mage is still stance dancing between Umbral Ice and Astral Fire.
Uh-huh.
Although Umbral Ice restores MP a lot more, and
it's all of your MP.
Yep, you're getting all your MP back. Versus Astral Fire, instead of your stuff gets more expensive, it's having it that you do more damage and you don't recover MP at the end of the adventure step, so you're not getting your 2 MP per turn back.
Does it give you the? Oh yeah, nope. There's transpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you need to swap back and forth. I was wondering about the thunder too. They actually added the thunderhead ready as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that option, as well as the Umbral Hearts at level 60. I always liked the fact that here Black Mage is a stance dancer instead of just, oh, here's all the damaging spells.
I'm trying to figure out why they would add Scathe to Black Mage though. I mean, it's lore accurate, but I don't know why you'd want to use it above anything else because it's just I think it just does damage, right?
8 damage
Maybe
is still pretty like, let's see. So
like
Scathe
maybe
is 4 damage for 1 MP. I think it's because of the way the action economy is set up. Remember, at every turn you can do 1 primary and 1 secondary.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I can think of is the possibility that they might have a bigger emphasis on aspected damage when it comes to monsters. Because in the game, even though it's supposed to, like, things do have aspects to them, you can use fire on a fire creature and nothing happens. Like, it doesn't
there's no
heal them
punishment.
or anything.
Right,
Yeah,
there's no
no
punishment.
There's no punishment here either.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
that.
fire aspected, which can proc things like Astral Fire and Consecutive Invocation, but it's not really concerned about elemental damage so far.
Yeah,
But-
Scathe is just a weird one to me because Scathe is only used if you really have to move, but since it's, a tabletop, you're not going to be constantly moving like you're in the MMO.
Well, you always
Yeah.
get the option to move. But I think the real reason, think about it like this: Scathe is magic missile. It doesn't miss.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
It
okay,
is
okay.
an auto hit that you use it. You are if the target's in range and you've got MP to spend, you are always dealing 4 damage. So I could see it as a way to continue damage without stance switching.
Also, if you've already, like, used thunder, I guess. Because
So
I don't know if you can, like, just refresh a dot, but
It's
at the same time-
you can't refresh it. It says you cannot retarget. I think it was at the top.
Yeah.
Can't retarget a character that already has the dots on it.
mhm.
So there you go. Like, something to use your secondary ability on if you're not gonna be doing it for, like, transpose, lucid dreaming, mana font.
Yeah, and I am fine with that because I've dealt with games where people use stun locking, but no. Then when it comes to summoner, which is of course also going to have a pet as well as Aether charge, messing around with Aether is going to be the big thing, the big setup for you.
Trying to summon my carbuncle. Oh, wait, no, it's not a carbuncle. Damn. No, it is a carbuncle.
Yep.
I would say glamours exist in the in the tabletop, so I mean I don't know why pets couldn't be glamour too.
Yep. But
Oh, it's the 3 flavors of carbuncle. Interesting.
yeah. So you have a bit of stance dancing with them.
Oh, it's level 40 when they become the Eggy. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Almost evolving it like... people have made Pokemon jokes regarding summoners for years. So I suppose we may as well go all the way with that. but
I mean, Carbuncle looks like an Eevee. I'm sorry.
But at the back, after all, at the back is where they put in how pets work. Honestly, I wouldn't have done this personally. I feel like it messes with the flow a little bit. I would have, instead of having pets be their own section, I would have attached the summoner pets to right after summoner, and the same thing with scholar.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I get why they did it. It just wouldn't be
Yeah.
my first pick.
I'm guessing they separate it because it's like you're playing as like a secondary character. It's got its own like sheet and everything.
Pets don't have their own sheet.
They're just summons.
Okay, so they just have set abilities.
Yeah, they have set abilities. Like, on the one hand, I kind of understand because it literally is at the end of the job list, and Summoner is the last class here. So, like, having it there does make some sense. It's not like it's going to flow into another job. So, it works.
Yeah, it works. I'm a monk of principle. But then we get to the tools of the trade, and instead of doing gil or a bunch of sub currencies, it is all combined into fortune.
Yes.
A single point of fortune doesn't have a fixed gil value. You might have a starting amount based on what level you're going with, from 3 to 6.
Oh, it's the White Wolf version. Got it.
So you do have to spend fortune directly. So it's not like the fortune. It's not exactly like the fortune dots. I do like the concept of shop tiers. Each item has a associated shop tier, which is basically an availability factor. I think when using items can be done as a primary or secondary depending on type, and each item will say whether or not it's primary or secondary. And then I think items have a better opportunity to shine here than they do in the MMO, where they are at least in my experience, they were very situational.
Yeah. Hold on. Did they add the thing? Let me see. Do you have Phoenix Down in here?
How'd I know you were gonna ask that? I was like, you're gonna ask about Phoenix Down, aren't you?
Why is small clothes? Okay, sure. Why not? Ooh, a combat mammoth.
Yeah.
I feel like if they added Phoenix Down, it's gonna be like a super rare item.
A super rare item that they give you about 5 or 6 times throughout the entire story, and you have to get rid of the old one in order to get a new one.
Yeah, that one. And they only just recently added that you can use it during combat in dungeons. Finally.
Does it have a cooldown, like a cast time still?
It has a cast time, yeah. Like if you're using the item, it has like a thing where you have to cast it on the person.
Is it a reduced cast time? Like,
I don't know. It's just anyone can raise anybody now if you have one in your pocket.
Yeah. I understand why it's not here.
Yeah, I understand too. I just was gonna be very amused if it was.
Yeah, I feel like if it was added in, it'd be like 1, maybe 1, as like a save the party kind of moment.
Yep, I do like
save
that they
the party,
put in.
But you can only target one person.
They put in meals, and instead of doing a lengthy equipment setup with sets, we just have augmentations.
True, 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 true.
Oh. So once you purchase an augmentation the way you'd purchase a consumable. Once you have it, you get its effects. Oh. It lasts until the end of the adventure or until the GM determines that your gear needs to be repaired. And you can only get one augmentation at a time. Should you have multiple ones, you have to choose which of them to keep. The other is immediately gone. If you change jobs, you lose your augmentation. You can choose to remove it at any time. Though once it's removed, you can't restore it without spending fortune to reapply it. I feel like this is a nice way to have equipment without having equipment. And they can, and while they can have their own interesting effects. I like that the deflecting edge, which costs 2, gives you a parry ability as an instant. I mean, it's +1 defense, but given that it's +1 defense on a D20, that's when the something that I have noticed is this game is very restrained in terms of how fast it's going to have numbers go up.
They have minions.
Yep.
Sorry.
And yes, there are minions which you can get, as well as special mounts.
Oh my gosh, they actually did add those in. I thought you were joking. I thought you saw a picture. Realized they had minions.
Yeah.
Yep. When it comes to encounters, I guess instead of doing roll for initiative and then that determines the turn order, you have the adventure step, where each adventurer and ally takes their turn. Then the enemy step, where the enemies take their turns, and then the end of round step, basically any maintenance that you might have to do, and then things start again.
Untap, upkeep, draw. Got it.
And I think the advantage with taking this approach is it is very straightforward. I know some are going to look at this and scream, "Oh, it's too video gaming." It's like, you're coming at that from the perspective of somebody who's probably played a dozen hours in different TTRPGs. This is clearly built for people who this is their first time.
I rather like it this way because, one, it obviously favors the players because the players are initiating the combat. Unless, of course, there's surprises, but that's a horse of a different color. But also, just it means that if someone wants to go first one turn and then wants to hold their action till some other people go the next turn, you can. You're not stuck in one spot in the turn order, which is great.
I think this is also a good way of
conversation,
reinforcing group play.
Exactly.
I do like that I'm seeing more and more games build mechanics specifically around you're supposed to be working as a team. Like when we covered the quick start for the Division TTRPG, and your abilities have a shared resource among the party. But when it comes to doing your turns, like I said, you can do a primary action, a secondary action, and then either standard movement or focus. If you choose focus, you can do another secondary action. I like this because if you're... Well, in a lot of games that have an action economy, if you're locked in melee or the like, the movement part of the action economy is useless to you. So that's a whole pillar of the action economy that you're just not using. Like if you're a tank who's got enemies who have enmity against you locked down, why would you be using your movement action if you don't have to? And
one thing that I'm noticing in this is that if you really, really wanted to, for whatever reason, you could spend your entire turn performing 3 secondary actions.
yep,
None of this action, bonus action BS.
I was never I am not a fan of how reliant the world's most litigious RPG is on treating effects as bonus actions, because no matter how many potential bonus actions you get, you're only going to be able to use one of them.
Exactly.
So this might be a bit contradictory, but it's expanding your potential action economy but also restricting it. And
Like,
I know some might say, but in my game you only have one action. Yeah, that was done by, but that's the only thing that you need to do. And you guys have both seen how actions work. It's not as much of a bottleneck because that applies to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that's always really bothered me, and I've been contemplating like homebrewing this if I ever ran it again, is this right here, utilizing your main action to do a bonus action, and you could do multiple bonus actions in a round if you wanted to. Because sometimes people have too many bonus actions.
I did something like that for 4th. Because 4th had standard, minor, move, free. I had what I called the kick down rule, where you could not do, say, a standard action to do two minor and so forth downward. And where that kind of bottlenecking really becomes a pain in the ass, in my opinion, is reactions. Like the fact that you only get one, that bugs the hell out of me. But here, something else that I can't help but notice, there is no equivalent to attack of opportunity. So there's nothing stopping you from breaking away being in melee. And yeah, so a lot of the instants are once per phase, which may as well be once per encounter for all intents, but it's not like you're you do only have one of them, but I think in this situation it works. Oh, let's see, then when it comes to size and abilities, it's pretty standard fare. Oh. Let's see, when it comes to criticals, do what I do, and they just double the number of dice rolled, and it's always treated as a direct hit. But criticals are only in combat, it appears. And I think it's going to have a bigger impact here because I didn't see anything that expanded crits. Meaning, whether you're level 30 or 60, you're only critting on a 20. Which that's certainly going to be one way to ensure that you can't crit fish as much. But we also do have a whole system regarding markers. And in the starter set, there were a set of tokens specifically for markers. So the big yellow blocks to indicate when something's going to happen and get out of the way. those that can still be present here.
Got it. So what I need to do is queue up a soundboard on my phone and play the danger bongos. Good to know.
Don't forget to mark a player with the follow me arrow.
Follow the Dorito.
Yeah, follow the Dorito.
Yeah. And usually with a marker, it'll be based on an ability or an effect, where the origin is. And we have two types. We have the stationary and the mobile version. And when it comes to phases, they have it that more complex encounters can be multiple phases. Whenever you switch to a new phase, your all the abilities that you've used up for that phase get refreshed. Any enhancements or enfeeblements, so buffs or debuffs, get removed.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to your HP and MP and the like is carried over, and you can immediately use an item. So I do like that they have that present here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when it comes to limit breaks, you can use it when the GM says, "All right, you can use limit breaks here." Obviously, with some limit breaks, they have to be triggered, but you do have that option. And like I said, with not limit breaks, but with MP, at the end of the adventure step, even if you've been spending MP, you're getting 2 back. I think this makes Astral Fire all the more risky, because the drawback of being an Astral Fire is you don't get that.
True. But that's why they have transpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, transpose kind of.
Yeah, I know. I think it's important to look at MP in this system as kind of like an action point economy.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what class you're picking, your MP is 5. This also puts it on the same level as like the job resources that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the limit breaks themselves, from what we saw of the jobs, it looks like this is not a case where they just do slightly more damage. No, they are most definitely worth it and worth the limitation. And just as a case in point, I'll tackle that later. But I do like that enmity is a enfeeblement. It's not something that's automatically generated just through combat.
Mm-hmm.
You only inflict it when when an ability says that you inflict it. So that issue that I mentioned with jump pulling doesn't happen here. And really the only people who are going to be able to do the whole generate enmity on the player side is going to be the tanks. So you don't have that instance where an overzealous DPS ends up pulling and then you wipe. I think we've all had that at least once.
Though, admittedly, you might have an overzealous tank who does wall-to-wall pulls with extreme trust in their healer.
Why do I feel called out on that one?
I don't know. Why
I don't know.
ya?
I'm the healer.
I mean, I play Paladin, so I'm like half healer.
I play Astro.
Mm-hmm. I do like that with enmity. If someone with enmity is not targeting the source, they have a -5 penalty, which on a D20 that is particularly nasty. At higher tiers for Paladin, that becomes a -8
Yep.
Oops.
on a d20 roll.
So it's like, I want to target that mage that's hitting me. Oh. Guess not. Okay, Paladin, get over here. Yeah.
But we also have the concept of encounter logs, which seems to be a nice way to keep track of turn order, as well as a nice little cheat sheet. And while
It's a nice way to encourage note-taking as well.
And because of the way the encounter log is set up, that reinforces to me that this is very much built with the assumption of a 4-player party. But,
8 if you include their chocobos.
Speaking of which, companions. The main companion that's going to be in this book is chocobos. Though it is advised that a single player is responsible for only one companion at a time.
Obviously.
Companions don't need to do checks. They can't use limit breaks, but they can do actions. And I like that with the chocobo companions, this kind of thing has its own stats, so I can understand why the pets don't. But each of the chocobo types has their own stats, and we have one for each of the roles, which is very nice. And you could use companions for vacant roles, and I could see someone house ruling this as a base to make the equivalent of trusts. However, it's clear that using multiple ones would not be the best idea.
Oh, come on. We'll full party this thing. 2
Well,
tanks, 2 healers, and 4 DPS.
That's what I mean. Well, I was thinking too, like, if there's no limit on which companion you can have for each party member, you could just go four healing chocobos. Like, what stops you from just having the chocobos heal?
Yeah, you could, though it's on the it's clear that a healing PC is going to be better at it than a chocobo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because the chocobos don't really have a lot of things to, like, improve themselves. Like, they get more abilities, and the abilities will either do more damage or do more whatever it is it needs to do. But the issue there is that, like, the defender chocobo doesn't really have a lot for mitigating their damage, as well as, like, healing themselves. The healing companion only does so much healing, and the attack chocobo just hits things. That's it. Like, there's no extra bits aside from, like, the chance of a dot or a stun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, a lot of the stuff in the adventuring chapter is nice, but it's stuff that we don't need to focus too much on, because if you've read a GM advice chapter, you know how this works. I
am curious. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I do like the fact that we don't have to deal with something like short or long rests. It's just you either rest, which is a short thing for a time sensitive if you're doing one action, one bell, or you sleep where you get everything back.
Oh, they even have things for gatherers and crafters.
Yep. Which I will get to once once my PDF reader decides to cooperate.
So while we're waiting for that to cooperate, I am curious if they're going to release any like side material with a list of like various minions and mounts and companions. Only because like they gave a couple of examples of like 3 minions and a couple of the special mounts, and I'm curious to see if there's anything else that they'd release because there are a lot.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything in that direction. I know that there's a handful of stuff that hasn't been translated yet. Um, so, and truth be told, it wouldn't, that whole flare thing that was mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be too difficult to reskin. Like take what you have with the Chocobo tank and reskin that as say hiring a soldier for one of the grand companies.
True.
But I do like that they brought in both fates, guild hests, and guild leaves in this.
Indeed.
See, then going into the basics, which is always important. I do like having a random relationship table so to help further emphasize you're playing as characters within the setting. Also, anything that avoids the you all meet at a tavern will be always appreciated from me.
You all meet at the Quickie Sands.
There's also the scenario where you're all arrested and meet in a jail cell.
I think with one campaign I did, it was a case of giving everyone a briefing and then no. Oh, but by the way, we're landing in a hot zone, so get ready for deep striking. Oh. So it's like, okay. So how are we getting to the hot zone? Oh, you see this giant railgun over here? You're gonna get shot into that.
What are we, samurai pizza cats?
Oh yes, the world's greatest accident. I think you know the story about the missing script.
Oh yeah. That was great.
That and ghost stories are two of the greatest happy accidents that you can ask for. The latter is just because the studio that did the anime just did not care. But I do like that we do have a sidebar about how to handle party defeat as well as link pearls. And not trying to do any sort of hard and fast rules about teleporting aside from, teleport to an aetheryte, which I think can be assumed that as soon as you're heading to a new area, you're going to be attuning. They even have a sidebar about quick saving, which is cute. But and of course downtime, and this is where some might ask, where's the disciples of the land in hand? Well, here. They're not exactly doing the same kind of leveling setup with them. Instead, you have adventuring ranks in either of them. Obviously, at character creation, you start at rank 0 in all of them. As far as when you rank up, it is randomly determined. After you determine the outcome of your personal quest, you roll a d6. If the result is higher than your current rank in that class, you go up by 1. The max you can go is 6.
And the higher you go, the more difficult it is to rank up.
Mm-hmm. And not far removed from leveling up in, say, basic role-playing. But for each type of personal quest, and for each of the Disciples of Land in Hand, you have a d20 that you can roll to see the result. It is d20 plus the adventuring rank of whatever you're using. So, for example, we have one for Miner and Botanist, which is determining what sort of materials you can get. One for Fisher. And even get a unique utility effect if you get the first time you get a 20.
Rod of the Luminary.
Mm-hmm. For crafting, we have one for Alchemist, which has a bit of randomization when it comes to getting potions or ethers. One for Culinarian, which basically lets you get a meal. And of course, one for Carpenter, Blacksmith, Armorer, Goldsmith, Leatherworker, and Weaver. I'm glad that they didn't do separate charts for each, because that would be a little bit insane.
Yeah, it's literally just all the same thing, just different materials.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't as focused on the granularity of individual materials. And we do have a few miscellaneous entries, like Seeking Fortune. You gain 1d6 minus 2 fortune. If you roll a 1, lose 1 fortune at the start of your next adventure. Accompany someone with a quest. Make a check using a primary attribute. If the result is 10 or higher, you succeed on the quest and get an item or augmentation with a price of 3 or less. If you roll a 20, you might get something else based on what your GM lets you. Or participate in a large-scale battle against other adventurers. Roll 3d6, add the number of times you've done this personal quest. If the result is lower than 18, add a note to keep track of the number of times you've done so. If the result is 18 or higher, obtain a Grand Company War Steed or an Algan node. Then reset your tally for this. But for a game that I'm told has no role-playing mechanics, this is a pretty robust downtime set of options.
Yeah. I mean, and those mounts sound worth it, because I saw the extra thing with those mounts was you can't be, like, surprise attacked, I think, when riding them. I think there was, like, a like an extra effect on it. Yeah.
Yep. And Chapter 11 is covering the region.
Yay, settings.
And a lot of this I'm skimming because it's stuff that we're familiar with, but I do appreciate its presence here.
Why, it almost looks like they pulled it directly from the Encyclopedia Eorzea.
Which... And the other thing, of course, I'm skimming is the scenarios for reasons I already mentioned. But each of these scenarios that we have here is clearly built for like a one-shot because of how they're set up. Although since one of them says recommended for a light party of level 30, it does make me wonder if there is consideration for full party adventures down the road. Now, to my knowledge, none of the adventures that are out there now are built for that. But never say never with these sort of things. Let me see if any, because there are a few adventures that are strictly on the website. So let me see here.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And thank you at Spellum for the for the raid. Hope you're doing well. For those who do not know me, my name is Mildra. I am your one and only gaming monk, and we are going through and discussing the core book for the Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG. Hope World of Darkness treated you well. Hope you enjoy.
What part of World of Darkness, I wonder?
Mm-hmm.
Vampires, werewolves, wizards.
Let me see if I can do shoutouts. Yep. And that is a good question. Which World of Darkness? Because, there's a lot. A Combine game.
A combination game?
I guess.
Werewolves, vampires, and hunters. Oh my.
Werewolves, vampires, hunters, and mage.
You poor storyteller.
Well, he's the GM, so.
You poor soul.
Mm-hmm. Now, while I am skimming the adventures in this, I do appreciate that they have. I feel like some people looked at the way the encounters are prepped and said, "See, this means it's more like a war game," and I'm like, "This is pretty standard fare." Let's see, he's telling the story of the Tremere. Oh boy.
So can we kill them? Like, please? Death to the Tremere?
But.
Sorry.
So all those parts aren't necessary. That is understandable. But I did check. None of the modules that I have so far are built for a full party.
I mean, understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Because good luck getting that many people at a table at the same time.
Yeah, we covered that. And same thing goes with full-on raids. Though the numbering of these scenarios is clearly meant to be a follow-up to the scenarios that were in the starter set, which had three scenarios. I do like that the maps for these scenarios are made as a potential printout, and of course we do have a summary at the back that can be used as a cheat sheet, and a few pre-gens.
Let's see who their pre-made adventures are.
So it's a
warrior, healer, white mage, dragoon, black mage. Oh, yeah. Cool. Like, I thought they would have, like, pre-chosen everything, but no, it's just the class and their chosen abilities.
There's a few cues regarding potential backstory, but that's about it. A few FAQs for player and GM. Notes on some of the revisions that have changed from the starter set, and a collection of tokens at the back, as well as a blank character sheet and an index. Always important to have that.
I like the changelog, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
a nice
it's-
thing to see.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm looking at patch notes. What the fuck?
Now, before we wrap up, I do want to cover a bit from the scenario guide, which unfortunately, as I said before, I don't have a scan of. I haven't been able to find a scan of. Believe me, if I did have one, I would have shown it. But you know, the first few chapters are about a bird's eye view, as well as adding in exploration scenes and interaction scenes, as well as an extended challenge system. Extended challenges is exactly what you think it'd be, as well as a full thing for designing encounters and threat rankings for enemies. And there are also a handful of fates, including one that was called "It's Not Lupus." So,
Yeah. 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 Also, the last page on this PDF makes me laugh and cry at the same time.
mm-hmm. But let me see if I can. But
Mildred, may I read this out loud?
no. Also, I'm just gonna read off the names of the fates that they put in here.
Mhm.
They put in scenarios and fates.
Mhm.
So the scenarios are just the Defense of Ishgard, the Blood of Dragons, and Where Dragons Slumber, as well as their maps. We also have challenge duties in this thing. One of them is Behemoth's Dominion Extreme and the Waking Nightmare Extreme.
Nice.
And the fates are It's Not Lupus, No Lip, Svara's Fear, Svara's Fall, Dark Devices, which is a 3-parter, The Plea, the Bait and Switch, and The End. No Ifs, Ands, or Buts. And Metal Gear's Rising.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
Metal
was
Gear's
gonna-
Vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vengeance 2.
If
But-
anyone hasn't played Final Fantasy XIV MMO, all of the fates are nods and memes and
Well,
play on words.
I remember an early one in Old called You Can't Kill the Metal.
Yeah. The localization team had a lot of fun naming all of the quests, all of the fates, everything.
Mm-hmm. I've also heard that the phrase "Thal's bloody balls" was improvised. I don't know if that's the case, but it was supposedly ad-libbed, and they just kept it.
You know? Fair.
But
There's a couple of friends of mine who were trying to make the term Nald's Nuts popular. Didn't quite roll off the tongue.
were they trying to do that to do a D's nuts joke?
No, they were doing it because they're the twin gods, Nald and Thal. So why should Thal get all the attention?
Oh. Because as AC/DC said, he has big balls.
And Nald isn't all there, so Nald's nuts.
But in the GM book, they also expanded potential personal quests and did a whole bestiary covering the different classifications we saw. And when it comes to the bestiary, each one has a tactics entry, which almost feels like a way to say this is how you can handle it. But they don't give levels to the bestiary. Instead, it is on a tier setup. Oh,
That's
a threat rating.
understandable.
So let me go to page 45 in this. I know this is a bit awkward, and I can't. And again, I'm sorry I can't show it. Uh, there's also a template for extended challenges, which is very nice. But the threat ranking is from bottom to top: mobs, menaces, champions, solos, bosses. Which again, it's not a one-to-one, but it is somewhat reminiscent of the monster rolls setup that I saw in Draw Steel and saw in 4th edition. And overall, before I get into my thoughts overall with FF14, what do you guys think of what we saw here? Is this a D&D derivative like some cynics have claimed?
I don't think so. Like, I can see a little bit of the DNA here and there, but for the most part, no, not at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
What do you say, Cecilia?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
Do you think this is a D&D derivative?
No, because like I feel like D&D is a lot more complicated. This feels more like an ease into something that's close to D&D. But this does feel really closer to Final Fantasy 14 to me. With like a little bit of D&D sprinkled in. Like this is very, very like tabletop RPG friendly. Like this is something that I like for me as more of a beginner to tabletop RPG would probably be more like comfortable with. Maybe not so much Monk, because Monk looked really complicated, but like some of the other classes that were, more straightforward.
Mm-hmm. And with any game, there's always going to be characters or builds that are of a higher skill floor.
I will say that I would definitely want to give this a shot. Like, I would want to try this.
Mm-hmm. So, from my perspective, if one were the claim, now I understand that Hobby Japan up until recently was handling the Japanese localization of D&D 5e. I have heard from some people that there were some frustrations about how consistent they were, but that's a story that I can't tell. On the other hand, when it comes to what we have here, I do not. I think the only way you can say some of the things that I've seen being said is if you apply that reductionist attitude that I talked about at the start, or if you have a hard set belief on what a TTRPG is supposed to be. And you remember how I took the piss out of the lack of role-playing mechanics argument with Armored Core 6?
Yeah.
I think that applies even more here. Through the combination of personal quests, traits, and the like, I don't think you can honestly say, without blowing smoke, that this does not have role-playing opportunities.
Like, they even give you an option to use your freaking limit break outside of battle for cool moments. Like, what?
But I have seen that argument made. I have, as well as the whole thing of, oh, this feels too much like a board game or too much like a miniature war game. A big problem they have when I hear that argument is board games and miniature war games are an incredibly wide net. unless someone honestly wants to look me in the eye and say with their whole ass chest that there is no difference between Infinity and Warhammer. And the same thing applies with board games. There are so many different variations on playstyle when it comes to board games that trying to use it as a catch-all just doesn't work. Much as in any medium. I think it's really something that that ends up self-reporting more than anything else about how somebody clearly has only touched maybe one or two different TTRPGs and thinks that means they know how the entire medium works. The type who plays like 20 hours of World of Warcraft and thinks that they know how every MMO that ever existed works.
Dear Lord.
Which sounds a bit silly, but or the type who's played nothing but D&D and thinks that they know how the entire medium of tabletop works. And what I see out of this is I enjoy as somebody who has been a flag bearer for 4th edition since day one. I see a lot of DNA of that here. Though it doesn't have some of the same pitfalls. The game that I kept comparing this to, and I will continue to compare it to, is Emberwind, which also does not have a leveling setup and has more of a 4-act setup for how it handles things. It does have a bit more customization than we see here, but there are some similar moments in the game's DNA. The other thing is that, as I mentioned, this is very beginner friendly. I honestly feel I could put this in front of a bunch of newbies who barely know anything about FF14 and still manage to make it work, just by way of cultural osmosis. But I think a lot of people approach this as if you could run Final Fantasy as a whole with this, and it's only focused on emulating 14 and nothing else. So if you're thinking of trying to run a FF7 campaign and you grab this, it's not gonna help you. This is clearly for this one thing and not much else. Now this is where I have to get into the problems that I have. And oddly enough, the problems that I have, none of them are tied to the game itself, but to things outside of the game. First and foremost, the lack of a proper PDF and the lack of virtual tabletop support, I think, will hurt it. Second is the price.
What's the price again?
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Now I am... For the standard rulebook on the official Square Enix store, it is $70.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. For the hard, and this is a high quality hardback. I will make that clear. But
I mean,
$70
fair.
for a core book is significantly much.
Are there... what else do you get with the book?
That's for the standard book and nothing else.
Does it at least come with a minion?
No. The GM guide is also $70.
Huh.
I mean, and the starter set is also $70, so maybe that's just the MSRP setup. But
Like, I guess because it is like, are they like importing them from Japan or something? Like, what's going on here?
uh, I don't know. I don't know on that front. And keep in mind
Oh no, it's the
that's
brand.
from that's from the official site.
Yeah, it's the brand.
I was gonna say,
I
is
mean,
it
it's
like
a good
because it got a
quality.
stamp on it? Like it's a brand name, so it just.
Yeah, like it's a
Um,
good. Don't get me wrong, it's a good quality book from what I've seen. Like this scan does it justice.
hmm.
It's just, hmm.
I mean, to be fair, I bought the Final Fantasy 14 cookbook, and that was kind of expensive for how much they give you.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
still need
really
to
high
get.
quality.
I still need to get the third lore book for Encyclopedia Orzia.
Hmm. And that the fact that there isn't a PDF option or virtual tabletop support, although some fans have attempted to amend that issue. What I see out of that is a fundamental misunderstanding of the tabletop space outside of Japan
Hmm.
and outside of the wider space. I really think that this game will not be as intimidating if they were to put out a digital release, especially if either if it's in a PDF form, which is pretty much standard across the industry.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, maybe I suppose it's a blessing in disguise that they don't have virtual tabletop support, because the temptation would be there to do their own proprietary virtual tabletop. And unlike something like Draw Steel, I don't think this would be able to pull that off.
Like, I think I'm starting to see what Square's doing here because they see how prolific people are willing to, not how prolific, but how very willing people are willing to share PDFs. It, like, if they, even if they sold it, they'd be worried about losing money, I guess. But, no. Yeah, it's literally just about the money. Like, that's all it is to it.
Yeah. And they're probably putting like making it into a really high quality like hardcover book and everything.
It is.
It is their first, yeah, and it is their first one too. Like this is the first one they've made, right? Correct?
Yeah, as far as far as as far as tabletop with FF, this is the first official case. Um, I know some people have tried to make comparisons between this and Fabula Ultima. That is not a fair comparison.
Nope.
Putting aside my issues with Fabula Ultima, they're not doing the same things. This is also why I was never comfortable when people said, "Oh, it's nice to have a proper Final Fantasy TTRPG, unlike that 14 debacle." A lot of people looked at this as a cash grab or a shit show. I don't see it as such. I see it as a lack of understanding the environment that they're in. This kind of price point for a video game is a bit much, but I think it would be easier to justify.
Mm-hmm.
For a tabletop game and the requirements therein, it's harder to justify that price and that lack of support on certain avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, one argues, but quality, but it's literally just like the name brand.
I think a smart move would now. The thing that makes this even more baffling is that there is a lighter version of the Player and GM's books available as a PDF. For the that's in the starter set. Let me clarify. This is the reason why I think it's the result of not understanding the room that they walked into. I saw that, and a bit of a habit I have when it comes to doing this sort of research is looking at things that came before. And what instantly comes to mind is Cortex Prime, when Fandom had it before they decided that they wanted to get out of the tabletop business. So, Cortex Prime, which was the brand spanking new edition of the Cortex system after Margaret Weis Productions got screwed over by Marvel. For whatever reason, Fandom did not put it on DriveThruRPG, but instead on their own proprietary site for it, as well as its attached SRD index. And navigating that was a royal pain. I can say that with experience. And because of that, while it was very good, it ended up bottlenecking the potential audience it could have. The reason why I think a PDF option should have been made available is to boost word of mouth.
As well as to increase availability, like, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know one of the big issues that they have, because they have a large amount of fans, is, like, not having enough print copies.
Yeah, they had to do a whole second wave of the starter set. Because they just blew through their stock. Which, I look at that as a case of the enthusiasm because of how many people are fans of FF14 specifically. But if if they put out a PDF version on DriveThruRPG for, say, let's say $30, I think that's a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would do very, very well. Would you still have people cynically calling it a cash grab or whatnot? Yeah, but performative cynics are going to be performative cynics, so fuck them. And because of all of that, as much as I would like to, I really, really, really want to go with strongly recommended in my metric.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go with recommended because of the price and the lack of options. And I get that in some places, virtual tabletop isn't as much of a thing. I don't know how much of a thing it is in Japan quite yet, but virtual tabletop has exploded in its footprint post-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big reason why those digital options, I think, need to be considered. And as a bit of backstory, I remember when Jeremy Jack was working on Planetbound, and he was, for the longest time, insistent on not doing a PDF version because he wanted to focus on in-person play. And eventually I was able to convince him that I get where he's coming from, I get why he wants to do that. But you should be more focused on getting as many people to see and try out the game as you can, rather than the way that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually he relented, and we ended up getting a PDF copy, which was used in the longest version of the Valley of the Judged ever. I hope I never do one that long. It was 13 episodes. Yes, it was as long as some animes in the mid-2000s.
Isn't that just a standard season?
I always call 13 episodes a half season because when I think of a full season, I think 26 episodes.
I mean, you're not wrong. But, like, an anime season and a full, like, 26 episode season are kind of two different beasts.
That is fair.
Because 26 season episodes tend to last 2 full seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like they do like a break in between. They do 12 episodes and a break, and then another 12 episodes, and then they kind of consider that as like part 1, part 2 of the season, but it's usually like 12 episodes per season.
Yeah.
Mhm. But with that said, I hope that down the road that it does get adjusted, and I'm still gonna end up grabbing Stormblood just because I am very curious how they're going to adapt Samurai, given how in 14 Samurai was already complicated with the 2 resources that you had with both Sen and Kenki.
You want to talk complicated? Stormblood is also Red Mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because that's physical and magic, like heavily, like trying to
It's
balance
the
those
fact
two.
that you have 2 meters, and with how simplified this is going, I realize what I said, given what we saw with the monk. But those are going to be interesting challenges, and I think that's the reason that it's going to take a bit before further expansions come along, because imagine trying to do, say, Reaper or Sage in this system. Which some people have homebrewed.
Interested to see what they're doing.
Some people have homebrewed that, as well as Gunbreaker. And I think there's some stuff that was fan translated, but that's a whole other story. And hey, when they eventually get to Dawn Trail, you can do the setting of Dawn Trail without having half of your damn quests be speak with Wook Lamont.
You had to bring up Dawn Trail.
Listen,
yes,
we're doing the entirety of Heavensward without having to worry about returning to the Waking Sands. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
True.
This
That
is
Waking
the
Sands
best
one was pretty
version.
bad.
This is the best version of ARR.
Yeah, which also drove me nuts because the whole point of the Link Pearl introduction system was so that you could, hey, what's important? Okay, cool. I don't have to return to the Waking Sands because you could tell me on the phone. Like, why am I going back to the Waking Sands?
It's like, why do you want me to return to the Waking Sands when you could just tell me now? You're not showing me anything.
Yeah, that's just
pretty much. But with that said, I think that covers everything that I had planned on covering. Thank you for hopping in on this particular experiment. I know I wasn't able to bring in as many people as I had planned. Cecilia.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, wait, what?
They're apologizing to you for no reason.
Wait, why? Hold on, wait. Hold on, I have the thing expanded.
Like there were a few, like I wanted to do a full group setup, but it didn't pan out, and I still haven't heard from one of the people who's supposed to show up. So when he shows up on Friday, he's getting the Doku Challenge Award.
Listen, we were supposed to have a light party for this, but unfortunately one of the members didn't show up, so we had to use a chocobo. We're good. We're good.
The mentor left the duty.
But even so, I won't say I'll run full campaigns with this, but I could see myself running some one shots of this in the future, since it wouldn't be too hard to do this in a virtual tabletop, even if I have to do it manually. But thanks to everybody who stopped in. Thanks to you guys for agreeing to do this crazy ass idea.
Of course.
No, thank you.
And Joe and I will be back tomorrow with more of the Armored Core 6 TTRPG. Well, we're fully getting into the mechanics and how you're going to be using those pools of D6s.
Yes, the most important thing about the giant robots. Mechanics. Or else they wouldn't be able to run.
Mm-hmm. And of course, on Friday we'll be covering more of Vileborn, getting into the mechanics of that game. So keep an eye out for that sort of thing. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Goodbye.